Hi everyone, it's Brett here from Metropole. Well, let me ask you a question. If you're going to purchase a property today, what part of the overall purchase is going to continually increase in value? It's obviously going to be the land, because land appreciates, whereas the house is actually going to depreciate or lose value, and that's really important to understand. So why would it make sense not just to buy more land? Well, we'll get to that in a moment, because not all land is created equal, but another question may be, why even bother with a house? And let's get that right out of the way, because I think it's very important to understand that a house is obviously very important because it's actually going to give you an income. And that's a critical factor. Some return on your investment is important. It's going to allow you to get more finance and leverage your money better. There's also going to be more tax advantages and benefits of that type of thing as well. So it makes sense to have some kind of income producing asset rather than just a block of land. The next question is, well, wouldn't more land be better? Well, not necessarily, because not all land is created equal. And if we take it from one extreme to the other, a 5,000 square metre block in the middle of nowhere or a 500 square metre block in a central CBD location is going to be far more critical because of more demand and significantly less supply. So how do we measure this, and how can we get a good gauge of what's the right balance and how we get the balance right here? We look at what we call a land to asset ratio. It's quite a simple equation. We want to understand what the land value is worth. If we're looking at a house, we're going to buy a house for say $600,000. Let's establish what the land value is. We can do that with multiple websites, your council rates. If we've got a $600,000 property and your land value is $400,000, then the land to asset ratio is going to be around 67%, and that's a pretty healthy ratio. If you swap that around and get something at 600 where the land value is only 200,000 and the value of the house is 400,000 and it's slowly depreciating, then the smallest part of your asset's growing in value, and that's only around 33% of your asset. So land to asset ratio is a great measuring tool. We can also do that with houses and apartments. It's a little more difficult to do. You have to find the total site value and divide it by how many residences are on the complex. Clearly, if you're buying something in a 100 or 200 apartment complex, the land value is going to be tiny and non-existent. A good location, and it may be a 10 in the complex or something like that, then you can still have quite a healthy land to asset ratio, and that's a really good way to measure it. You might have a better land to asset ratio on an apartment complex with 10 in than a property 40 k's from the city at a similar price point where the land value is probably only about 50,000. So it's critical you get that right. You really understand the difference between appreciation and depreciation and then adjust accordingly. A good rule of thumb is probably around 50%, but I know in Brisbane where we're buying, we probably target more between that 70 and 80% mark. We want 70 or 80% to be the actual land value. A great level of safety and also superior growth in those types of assets. So that's something you may not have thought about, and a really good way to find the balance is the land to asset ratio. So there's a bit more information in this article below. Feel free to have a read through, and please reach out if you need any assistance. Thanks for your time.